vibe going on right here. Wish we had a spot like this, man.
Man, cool like this all the time. That shit'd be cool as hell.
Yeah, that's like the one thing I like about Fresh and Fit, man. I like that.
Little setup,
They did it. They did it. Now they got some branding. They got some branding going on over there.
Yeah, they do.
They got some branding going on. That's
I was surprised. That dude surprised me with that shit, man. Like when I saw Aubrey and Preach do that video about what's his name, Fresh.
Yeah.
Like how he was simping that chick. I couldn't believe that.
That shit ain't surprised me nothing.
I know it didn't surprise me. I'm just saying how he don't see that shit.
Right.
Yeah.
How he really thought this chick was really for him. It's like, man.
See, again, I think it ties back to, like, again, a lot of these men in this quote-unquote manosphere, you could just tell the experience is not there before they became who they became.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a situation where you got a dude who wasn't really getting chose like that, wasn't really interacting with attractive women like that, and now all of a sudden, overnight, he's famous, and now chicks are throwing it at him. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to go in that with a bit less discipline than somebody who done been used to getting that all their life. Like he might not have been getting 12s, but he was getting 9s all his life. So he used to attractive women. So you're not gonna be able to finesse me like she did him. Like that was just blatant finesse. 1 month of talking and you damn near in love. He said everything except I'm in love.
But what's so weird about the audience though is like he'll say something like that and everybody in the comments is cap. But you still watching the show, you know what I mean? So like
yeah,
it's just such a weird dynamic. It's almost as if some people are watching it just for the spectacle. And
Absolutely.
When you talk about Manosphere content, you would assume that a lot of it is going to be educational.
Right.
But it's starting to now move into the more entertainment space. And that's what I'm seeing over there. It's a lot of more entertainment, which is good because you're going to need some of that as well if you want to ever go to the next level eventually. But it's a little strange how they have it so that some of the people understand that it's not necessarily legit all the way in terms of their personas or what they say and what they preach. And that was one of the things that I appreciated about DJ Academics because at least he held everybody accountable.
Right.
He was completely honest in the situation, and I think he took the words out of my mouth. If you say you're going to live this type of way and you got an audience where you talking to millions of potentially younger guys, you got older guys too, and they looking at you as a person that's going to be able to tell them what to do in terms of their next steps.
Right.
You kind of got to live by that. And if you don't, you got to get called out. And that's another person that I really respect that do that often is TLA. Yeah. He's really well. He does a good job at calling people out when they BS and giving people their flowers when they doing a good job.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to TLA.
For real.
Which is what I was going to ask. I was thinking about that while you was talking. How important is it for your real life to actually reflect the message? And if it's not, does that jade the message to you in your mind, even if it's the truth?
I think you got to live it.
Yeah.
To me personally, but that just comes from a person that I consider myself to be authentic. Mm-hmm. Now, other people can look at me and think whatever they want, but I'm going to try to do what I do and what I believe I'm doing to be right. Mm-hmm. If I know I'm preaching a message that I'm not living, I can't do that me personally.
Right.
Other people can do that. That's cool for the money. The money's great. I get it, but that's not something that I can do. So I think the morals are 100% important. And that, I think just long term, you pick up on that kind of stuff. Yeah. If you want longevity, people want to deal with real people nowadays. We tired of being bullshitted. So longevity in terms of having good connections with other people, we want to see a real person. We don't want to see a persona. We get it. Like they done that already. The personas are done. That's why things like podcasts are doing so well, because they're authentic. Like what we're doing right now. This is a conversation that we just having. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like this is the authentic stuff that people want nowadays. They don't want anything scripted. They don't want no personas. You could watch daytime TV for that, and that's why it's dying. Nobody want to watch that. Yeah,
and then too, it's all about the passion too, man. You can actually see the passion when somebody's actually living what they speak.
Right.
It just flows better, and then you actually get to give them a real life scenario, real life situation based off experience. Right. But if you haven't experienced it, it's scripted. It's not real. So, and I think you can see how people are uncomfortable in a space when they talk about certain things. Even if you do have, let's just say you have a panel, right, and somebody begins to talk about something, you can just see the other person's getting a little bit uncomfortable. Yep. Because they don't want to speak on it.
Yeah.
So it shows. I think you have to be 100% authentic. Otherwise, you just fake out here.
You know what I equated to? I equated to sports. I talked about this recently. Like, experts, analysis, whatever the case may be, like they have them all over ESPN. A lot of these people never played the game at all, but I've been studying it for 20 to 30 years. And again, what they saying may be right, But it gets a little different when somebody like a Shannon Sharp sits next to you. Somebody that's a Hall of Famer that done lived this, experienced this, know the ins and outs of the game. Yeah, you may know defense, but he done actually played the game. So it's like he can go into more detail in terms of like what the aspects of this stuff really is. And I think in the Manosphere it's the same thing. You got a lot of dudes out here that, again, wasn't really getting attention before they was famous, or wasn't really interacting with women. So it's like, how can you give me advice? And even though a lot of them are giving out stats, like, 60% of women do this, 70% of women do that, but it's different when it's somebody that's actually going through it, and he giving you that detailed, authentic, you ain't even really got to use that many numbers for real. Yeah. And he gonna still be able to get his point across the right way. So, I mean, it's easy to spot the difference, man. It's easy.
I think I'm gonna take a different approach, just a slight approach. I definitely feel that everything should be 100% authentic and real. However, we in the social media era, like, that's just what it is today. But there's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you know what I'm saying, all these social media outlets. Some people are just trying to find ways to feed themselves, provide for their family. So I feel like in some cases, as long as it's not extreme, and, because you are an influencer at a certain point whenever you get, all these followers. So I feel like some people, it's okay to fake it till you make it, because they try and do what they got to do to get up top. Now after that, they can talk about their growing experiences and the things that they should have done or could have done, but I think just a little bit of, I feel like a little bit of fakeness is needed, only because that's what drives, views and things like that. Like all the crazy shit, all the pranks people do, and like all the like you said, low hanging fruit. You bringing on women onto a podcast who don't know much about nothing, but they just pretty as hell, and you have a conversation with them, make them look crazy, and people, that's what I'm talking about. Champion like this, they not shit. So I mean, to an extent, I feel like it's needed, but then again, I'm always, and everybody I think will always respect the real.
And the catch is the same dudes that's in the comments doing all that, same dudes subscribing.
Facts.
And I think it was Myron was talking about that on a different show. I think it was on No Jumper podcast. He was saying, we'll have these shows with these women, and these dudes will be saying, oh, she's a whatever, she don't look good, she's a bimbo, we don't want to deal with her. Fast forward 30 minutes after the show, now you got 300 new subscriptions. I wonder where that came from. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes, and I think you made a really good point, because when it comes to this social media stuff, you want to be authentic, but to some degree, you got to play the game.
You got to cater, that's true.
And a lot of people don't give credit to people that are good at playing the game. And I don't want to have to say this, but Brittany Renner is an example of a woman that's good at playing the game. Right. There's plenty. I could throw a rock right now and hit a woman outside that want to just sleep with successful men, and that probably can get in those areas. Right. But can you turn that into a career? Right. And that takes a certain persona. That takes a team. That takes a PR team that tells you sometimes what to do and what not to do. And it takes a certain level of articulation. You got to be able to put your thoughts out there and be brave enough to accept whatever come with that. And I think that she's catered to her audience, which is predominantly women that are trying to do the same activity she's doing. And so anytime she's under attack, she has a core audience that she can always lean back on. And that's strategic to me, like Fresh and Fit even. No matter what they say or do, they have a core audience that if we talk about this, I'm sure we're going to see them in the comments. Right. We're going to see them in the comments. They're going to be, oh, what are y'all clout chasing? What's clout chasing? That's the new thing. And I'm like, I'm doing the news. Right. Like, you wouldn't call Fox News clout chasing for talking about Donald Trump. Like, that's just part of what we do. So why am I clout chasing for talking about a situation that happened in the Manosphere? Right. Right. So it's just a weird balance. I think you're right. I think it is a balance that you have to have. And I think Fresh and Fit have done a good job at finding out what they need to do to please their audience. Just like Brittany Renner kind of found out what she needs to do to please her audience. So,
I got a question for y'all. Like, as content creators, people that's built platforms, how much sense of responsibility do you feel like you have to your listeners, right? Because I know, just an example, like us when we was first starting out, we was just talking very reckless. Now it was truth, but we was talking very reckless and like kind of biased a bit. But then as the following builds and we getting these people writing in, hey man, I'm 17, I'm 18, I'm going through this, I'm trying to figure this out, that caused us to kind of, okay, we need to take this a bit more serious. We can't just be saying things for shock value or like faking or playing the game too much. So don't get me wrong, you definitely got to play the game for sure. But some of these dudes be going a little far in terms of playing. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like as content creators, we got a responsibility to our listeners, because it's a lot of young dudes out here, a lot of young women out here that's coming to us for real advice. Like, we got an advice column, people be writing in, saying all kind of shit. Like, I've been married 20 years and we got 3 kids. Now I'm trying to navigate this dating game and I done been out there for 20. So they really depending on us. So I ask y'all, how important is the sense of responsibility to the listeners compared to playing the game?
I want to say this, and I'm going to tell y'all about a real life situation, right, that I've experienced. There's always going to be somebody that says, you need to do this, you need to do that. But then you be surprised on the back end when you have somebody that tell you, let's say, hey, me and my wife watch you guys all the time, and you guys are helping us tremendously.
Right.
Or when we was just out, a couple days ago, you guys are making an impact on our lives. So then you start to think like, damn, like, should I really change what I'm already doing? I think that you have to be who you are when you enter. You have to be the same person, but you still have to be able to make the experience better. To me, it's all about the experience, what people are doing. And how you level up is by going out and experiencing, talking to more people, reading more, putting more information in your head so that you can spit this out, making sense to everybody, having an open mind to hearing different perspectives. When I hear you guys, and the reason why I respect you guys is because you guys bring a unique perspective that I never heard. And so me having an open mind, being able to listen to you guys, I'm like, So then I start putting things together, and then I generate new information to put out there.
Right.
So it's just about bringing a like minds together that has the drive, and then being able to understand that we are making a difference despite what people may say. So you can't feed into the few people. As long as you have constant people that are in the comments, that are DMing you, that are walking up to you saying that you guys are changing my life, I think that's all the momentum that you need to keep doing what you're doing.
Sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's just like, if you ain't got loyalty to your fans or the people that's watching you, what do you got loyalty to? Money? Is that what you loyal to money? Because money don't care about nobody.
Right.
And we like to believe that this is going to be long term, but at any given moment, you know, it could all change so quickly. So if you're not loyal to your audience and they see that, then what are you going to stand on when it get rocky? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And there's this line, this weird line that you got to be careful of, because when you start chasing the money, it changes you. Like the dude, I don't know if y'all remember this scenario or this situation that happened maybe a couple months ago. Dude in the Manosphere was talking about some, I was dating a chick, she was 16. I mean, this dude about 30-something years old. I slept with her a couple times. Bro.
Wow.
What are you talking about, sir?
Yeah.
You finna mess the whole party up. We all over here grown men having conversations that are productive towards where we want to go and where other people want to go, and giving people decent advice. And you over here talking about some other stuff that everybody's going to use as fuel of the fire to already hate us when they want to already.
Right.
You know what I mean? We can't get these people any ammunition. And this is the line that you teeter on. And he said his excuse, and the reason I brought that up on that line is because his excuse for it was that he wanted to see if it could go viral. That's why he told the story. That's why he talked about him sleeping with a 16-year-old girl until she was 21 years old.
Jesus
Like,
Christ.
come on, like, what are you doing, bro? You a grown man. That's disgusting. We all know that as grown men. But other people that want to hate us is going to use that as fuel to the fire. And that's what happens when you chase money. That's the end result. If you don't have any loyalty, especially to your fans, the people that come and watch your content every day, the people that take the time out of their day, whether they be at work or whatever they're doing, to listen to you speak. I got like 28 million views on my channel now total. That's a blessing. That means 28 million people decided to look at me, sit down in front of a camera. It ain't nothing but my head and shoulders. And I'm just talking shit. You know what I mean? So like, that's something that I don't take that for granted, and I don't take it lightly. I feel like I have a responsibility to those people. So.
And that's it. And that's why it's so important for people with platforms like ours to hold people that's falling out of line responsible. Like, we got to hold them accountable for a lot of this shit that we be seeing. Just like that situation right there. It's good that you calling him out on that, because a lot of these, you know, corners or whatever the case may be, they'll let shit like that fly just in the honor of the quote unquote manosphere or whatever. But when you got real ones in this thing, like, we got to police it. We got to make sure that the message that's getting out to these people that's listening to us is pure.
Thanks.
And don't get me wrong, like, I understand, you know, as far as the stats, like, because when you building the platform, whatever, when you first started, it's just for the love, just for the genuine me, just getting my opinion out, and then you get a little bigger and you start paying more attention to the numbers. And it takes discipline to be able to say, you know what, okay, this video may not go as far as I think it'll go, but the message is going to be way more important than those views.
That's the one.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's how we keep this thing, period, man. We got to hold each other accountable, and that's why I respect y'all so much, because when I chop it up with y'all, even off camera, you could just tell the genuineness.
Like off top, from the door.
Right.
For real.
Straight up.
And that stuff you can't, you know what I'm saying, compare.
Yeah, like, because when we got in here, we wasn't talking about, this going to get the most numbers, or we going to do this, we going to do this.
Hey, you got to do this.
Absolutely.
Like
it's not that, bro. It's just, real one sitting down, just having a conversation based on what it is that we see out here. And it needs to be more of that and us policing. Real rough.
And and just because we all, not us, but just because we may disagree with you, don't mean that we beefing. Ain't
Right.
Like that.
Right.
It just is what it is. We just calling out. It's either truth or it's not. You know what I'm saying? You telling a lie or you pandering. It's just one of those. Just because we talk about it don't mean we trying to clout chase or we trying to get some views or nothing like that, man. It's just being real, having real conversations, calling out what it is, and we talking about it. That's it. And you take that personal, that's on you.
And a lot of people, they don't understand what it takes to do what we're doing. They think that we just sit here and we just, talk. They don't understand that it took 3 hours to get the setup. They don't understand that, they think, PMP just talking right now. He talking the most out of the whole show. I ain't did a damn thing. I've been sitting just like this. They've been scrambling around, setting up the cameras, the lighting and everything to get everything prepared. Yeah. And so that's all a part of the show that people don't see. Right. They don't see the editing. They don't see the hard work that goes behind the scenes. And I think when it comes to people just pandering, I think it's because they don't want to burn bridges. Right. If for Fresh and Fit, and I always say, y'all have great content. Fresh and Fit, they have great content. They have unmatched content, and that's why they do what they do. Their production value. We just talked about their studio before we came on air. Right. We were talking about how well their studio is set up and everything. Yeah. So I'm going to give them their flowers in that aspect, but I'm also going to call out the things that I don't agree with. Right. And I don't care if that burns a bridge. I can go on the show and talk to them about that man to man if that's what you want to do. Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here and not tell the truth because you have a growing following that's doing well, right. And I think that that's what people expect. And when you call people out that they like, they go, "Oh, you're a clout chaser." We've already talked about the words, but it's just, I think it's nonsense. I think it's a way to protect the people you like and try to dislike the people that talk about the things that you don't like about the people you like. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a defense mechanism almost. Like, I want to believe this so badly that if somebody else says anything about it, they have to be just like clout chasing or fake. I think
also like just picking, like, this is the only podcast I listen to, or this is the only YouTube channel I watch. So everything else against that is I'm against them. Instead of I can like 10 at one time if I want to. Yeah. Like, this person can be right this podcast, but my same favorite podcast that I like could also be wrong the next week. So I think people got to understand that too.
You know what? When we were out at that event, I had somebody walk up to me, and I think he watched you guys, but then he wanted to get, our information so that he can, because he said that what he finds is that he listens to somebody else and then he gets somebody else's page and like, oh wow, here's somebody else telling some more information. I said, keep that open mind, right? Because everybody is different. You don't have to. You can have your favorite, but just have an open mind because everybody can be your favorite. Just take what you need from it and then just utilize it. You're not gonna like every single thing that everybody does, but just if you rock with them, you're gonna agree sometimes, you're gonna disagree. But just keep that open mind. Don't just feel like you got to follow one person because one person don't know it all.
Right. True, and I'm gonna be honest. We're gonna just bit of transparency here. I was very similar to that in terms of networking situations. Like when we came up in this thing, and I got like a lot of celebrity fans, whatever the case may be, and folks would be like, "Well, why don't you don't reach out to bro?" I just be like, "Man, nah, I just want to stay self-contained. I don't want to, he may be Hollywood, he may be this, he may be that. I ain't trying to, what I'm saying." So that kind of crippled us in terms of like the growth and situation. Like we could have been way farther if I came into it with the open mindset that you're talking about. And just being able to reach out, and that's why I respect you so much. You don't have that filter at all. If you respect what somebody's doing, you're gonna reach out and say, "Hey, I respect what you're doing, bro. Let's work." Yeah. And a lot of times it be that easy. We be getting it in our own way. We be because we so, I don't know, I think maybe from the upbringing or whatever, but we so territorial, we so cliquey, we so, hey, this is my gang, and what they doing ain't my business. I don't care nothing about what they doing, whatever. But not realizing that we crippling ourselves. If we have more situations like this where you got kings sitting down discussing, Manosphere and just how men behave, that advances us at a much rapid pace, because our fans gonna listen to it and pick up on you. Your fans gonna listen to it, pick up on us, whatever the case may be, and it's a big, big ass snowball that just builds, and now we all getting propelled. Instead of us being so standoffish, like, nah, I ain't about to reach. I don't respect that. Right. So we be crippling ourselves. We got to have an open mind, just like the fans do. Yeah, that's real. That's
an extremely good point too, because there's so much like polarization, as in I'm just separate from this group. Yep. You're not gonna agree with anybody on everything, and if you do, that's a problem. That means you're in a cult. You're in a bad position if you agree with a man on everything. You're supposed to have disagreements, but take what you like and leave what you don't like. Right. And even for me personally, like something I do to make sure that I stay well versatile and like I try to stay balanced as much as I can is I'll go over on the other side. I don't know if you guys have ever went over there where the detractors are, like the Cynthia G's, where they say we don't like black men, they're destructive, they hate black women, it ain't nothing, like the audio quality is trash, right? But I agree, okay, let's just be completely, it is bad. Look, we got, but some of the things that they say, I don't agree with everything, but I can go and listen to them because I believe that that's important if we're going to be human beings. Right. That's what it means to be a human being, understanding that you're going to have a different opinion because you may have been through something different. Can I tell you my opinion, and where can we meet in the middle ground? Right. For example, like Cynthia G, she'll say things like African-American men could do better. I completely agree. Now, do they want to hear that on my channel? I'll say it every now and then, I'll sprinkle it in there, but I give my content from a man's perspective. Right, exactly. And statistically speaking, black men have been doing better, in the country. Right. As far as 60% of black men being in the middle class, upper class, I ain't got to do the whole thing. But so I agree with her. In certain aspects, we're dead last, and we do have to do better as a unit. Men in general. There are a lot of men that are doing things, some of these dudes a little blue pill. Some of these dudes, simping in the DMs. They talk all this game over here, and then they be on Instagram, the same dudes that's following these women, you know? So I go over there and I listen to what they say, and the things that I don't agree with, I find a reason to disagree. I don't find a reason, but I have my reasons based on my own experience and based on the information that I figured out. Right. So then those things that I don't have to take, but the things that I agree with, that's our common ground. So I can have if Cynthia G was here, we'd have a conversation. And I'm okay with that. I can sit there and talk to her all day about, we have to do better. We got to figure some things out. But at the end of the day, the one thing that's going to do us the best is if we have family. Right. So and I think that that's where we agree with. And if we met there, it would be better. But there's so many people that just want the polarization. Right. There's so many people that if I say that, they go, oh, PMP, he's blue pill. He's having this conversation with this woman that she's doing this, and on her side, they don't want to see her sit down with a person like me because they think that I hate women or I hate black women or whatever it may be. And that just leads to so much separation because, like I said, a lot of people, like we were talking about, so many people just follow the money, and what your audience want is what you're going to put out. Yep. So like when you said you got to put this video out, even though it ain't going to do the views you wanted to do because people going to disagree with it, that's extremely important because you got to keep people balanced.
Which is interesting. Y'all bring up Cynthia G, and I pointed at bro because she reviews some of our content, right? Take it out of context. We had like a 45-second clip. I forget specifically what we was talking about, but she came for bro hard. Like, oh, he broke, he dusty, he this, he that. So all her fans came and started bombarding us, right? So I'm like, okay. At first I was letting it slide. But a lot of these people platforms, they fans be, aggressive. They go all out. So what I did, I was like, okay, cool. So this the energy I want to give. So she had a live.
I know you got something fun.
And we went in her chat, and we in the chat. It's like 2,000 something people in the chat, whatever. She referenced us ironically in the live. She was like, if y'all got a problem with what I gotta say, y'all can come call in and blah blah blah. Okay, I'm gonna take you up on that. So I came and called in. Right? And immediately, that's them Krew season. Fans going crazy in the chat. So again, I came in a situation to where like I don't really like the personal shots, and that's what I was complaining to her. I'm like, if we disagree in theory, let's disagree in theory and let's leave it there. But all this, you dusty, you broke, you this, you that. It's like you don't know me well enough for that, baby. Like all of us is living comfortable lives, bro. Like it's not like we not doing this shit for money. Like this is a side hobby for us to kind of help the next generation that's coming up behind us and voice our opinion on things. So the fact that you even looking at it from a monetary perspective just lets me know how shallow you are. So mind you, she was on there with like 3 of her homegirls.
Yeah,
so they was trying to attack. Right. So but me, I don't give a damn about none of that. If I'm in that mood, we coming to argue, we coming to debate. So that's what I did. And every time they try to bring it personal, I pulled it back to theory, and they got frustrated, and just they was like, oh no, we ain't got to deal with this. We ain't got to. So I said, okay, so my theory is better than yours.
Yeah.
And then you got mad and want to go personal. So that's why a lot of the collaborations and shit don't happen. Because we'll come into it with an open mind, but that don't mean that they're gonna receive it in an open mind. Right. You know what I'm saying? Just like I told, I said we didn't take no personal, because we ended up making a video in response to that. And again, but even with that, it was still surface level. We addressed what she said about us.
Yeah,
we didn't come in there and talk about, you preaching these men is dusty and you got a baby daddy that don't work or don't do this or that. I could have easily. But didn't. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think it's important what you're saying about being open to have that conversation. And even in her, not realizing like, it's cool. You can go on your channel and challenge what we said or whatever. But it'll do better if let's meet up behind the scenes, set up something mutual, content-wise. That would be crazy. And that shit'll go crazy for your fans and our fans. And let's build.
Right.
Yeah.
But just like you said, it's a bunch of polarization. It's like, nah, they over there, we over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I really think that type of thing is holding us back. But I think, again, situations like what we doing is gonna open the door to more collaborations, and I'm low key excited about that.
Yeah, man, that shit feel good as hell.
Yeah, but we was talking before the pod, right, about again, because we are, we have a responsibility to our listeners. We got a lot of young listeners, a lot of young dudes that's out here in this dating game, and going through the ringer. Yeah, if we gonna be honest. So I feel like since we got bunch of kings sitting here, a bunch of experience, bunch of relationship information, I feel like we would be doing a disservice if we didn't dive into that. So I just want to ask y'all, like, for one, what do y'all feel like men are dropping the ball in terms of the dating game, just in general?
Hey, I'm all, I talk all day.
Well, I was gonna say putting these women on the pedestal.
Yeah. Putting
them on the pedestal, and we're seeing this even in the space. In the space that we are in, we are seeing them put the women on the pedestal. The wrong type of women at that. So I just feel as though, I won't say I feel, I don't like to say I feel, but what your feelings, right? Shout out to Anton. But in my opinion, anytime you want to put the woman above man, that's when you wrong. That's when you wrong. Go ahead.
No, yeah. Just to kind of piggyback off that a little bit there, I think when you begin to invest more time into her than you are yourself. I think that if you got a purpose, you ask women. You had these conversations. Y'all be having these conversations all the time. Y'all be having women on y'all show. I do more of a solo thing, but you had these conversations with women. Don't know women want a man that's trying to lay up under her all day and ain't got no drive. Right. They want a man that they need. They want a man that is exclusive. They want a man that has to squeeze some time in for her because he's out doing his own thing for his own future, for maybe the future of both of them. You know what I mean? Those are the men that women want. And so when men start to prioritize women, thinking, oh, this is gonna get me some brownie points, I just gotta put her first, treat her like how people be. But everything that they taught us before you hit the age where you had that experience that made you understand that everything different than what they say. Right. Like anything that you're doing like that, you just gotta have your own goals. Right. And no matter who comes into your life, I don't care if it's a man, a woman, friends, family, you are set on that goal. And when you do that, people will respect you more. Facts. Because you living for a purpose. You're not just out here willy-nilly going into vices, over drinking too much, smoking too much, sleeping with women too much, trying to be too it. You have a goal. And anybody, like my family will call me, and if I'm doing a show, I got my phone on Do Not Disturb. My mother understands that, hey, he's doing something right now, and that's his thing. My wife understands that he's doing something right now. That's his thing. So, and they respect me for that because they understand I have something going on. I'm trying to do something with my life to better myself and the people around me. So I think just being, investing more time into a woman than you are yourself is a huge downfall. I see a lot of dudes do.
Yeah, you definitely lose yourself in that. And with me, being mostly raised by my mom, I figured that out early. You know what I'm saying? Dating and, like you said, putting women first and things like that gonna get you behind. Yeah. And you also get lost in the sauce because you're trying to please her, make her happy, and not realizing that, you know, you didn't slacked off. I haven't been to the gym in a month, all because I'm trying to make her happy. I'm, you know what I'm saying, overcompensating and just trying to do whatever to please her when really I should be focusing on myself.
Right.
And I think one situation, well, one thing I would say would be honesty in relationships. Like, men got to be just from the door. Hey, I'm busy. I have a certain goal that I'm trying to reach. I really care about you. I would like this to work. But at the same time, if you can't understand, then, hey, we just can't be together because this is going to take some work. This is going to take some time. This is going to take some effort. And as soon as I'm free, I'm going to spend all the time in the world with you. Right. But work has to come first because I'm building something. Right. And you have to understand that if you want to be a part of this, this is what I have to do to get there.
In fact, she ain't even gonna like you if you ain't building that.
Exactly.
So the priority that you putting before her, she may seem like she don't like it, and a lot of people don't understand this. Women are kind of complicated in that sense that they will try you on things that they don't necessarily want. Like, women will push the boundaries. And try to, but they don't want a man that ain't got no boundaries. They'll do that all day and say, oh, I want to wear this when I go out and do this when I go out. And when you tell them no, they'll get mad for a little bit, but then they'll respect you. There's a difference. You start letting women do whatever they want to do, and you find out that they don't truly want sometimes what they say they want. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they say they want the nice guy, but then you know who gets the attention a lot of the times. You know, they say they want you to be attentive to them, but when you too attentive to them and you ain't making no money, as soon as that light bill due and you ask her for some money, you out of there. So a lot of the time, I think you touched on something really interesting there. A lot of the times you prioritize women and you give them what they say they want sometimes.
Absolutely.
And it isn't actually what they feel like they need in their lives, you know, and they end up disrespecting you or leaving you. And then you end up, you know, by yourself.
Which leads me in the mind. Yeah, which leads me in the mind. I feel like a lot of dudes in this dating era, dating according to ideal instead of what reality is. And a part of that is what you're saying. A lot of women say that they want a lot of things. And some dudes feel like, okay, I got to meet them on every aspect that they want. And then they'll try to meet them on that aspect. And now she's no longer interested in you because you're boring. You know, a lot of them, oh, I want a dude that's low key. I want a dude that's kind of ugly. I want a dude that nobody really, you know, rock with like that or whatever. And then she'll get that dude and cheat on him with a dude that's lit and out here being toxic. And I think, again, like, especially as a young dude, we got to own the fact that toxicity is attractive. Much as people that don't want to admit it. You will say that in a room full of women, they'll look at you crazy. But then you will look at their baby daddy, or look at the last 5 dudes on their body count, and all of them are toxic. Right? So
it gets scary.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how can you say that you want one type of man, but you're rewarding the complete opposite?
That's a fact.
And again, that's what I mean by like dating according to ideals instead of dating with what reality is. And I think a part of that is most men go into the dating game with no plan. Let's just be honest. Men stumble into the dating game. And they try to freestyle once they get in there. But how it should be going is, as a man, you should come in with a plan already. As far as like how I want my family to run, as far as like boundaries that I'm not gonna bend on, you know what I'm saying? Situations like that, you know, we gonna eat dinner at the table at 7 o'clock every night as a family. We gonna go to church every Sunday as a family. We gonna take 3 vacations every year as a family. Like, really a detailed plan. We gonna spend this amount in budget. This amount's going to savings. This amount's going to that. Like, really detailed. And I would equate it to, like, you know, a lot of us in the real estate game, whatever the case may be, you're not just buying no property just because you like how it look. I'm about to go research the market, go deep in, you know, before I invest. And why? Because it's a big purchase. It's a big investment. But it's no bigger investment than the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So we need to attack it that way. And that's just real. And a lot of us don't. And that's why we, you know, end up in the situations we in.
It's crazy, and I talk about that sometimes because it changes for women. It does change for women, and they do start to prefer the good guy that has security, that's actually working the 9 to 5 over the drug dealer guy. Because I don't know if you guys seen that video, but there was a video that was out recently where a guy was asking a bunch of women, like, what do you prefer? And they looked like us. They were black women, bro. Like, and let's just be honest, we know this. And a lot of dudes will go down these paths to get the attention of these women and at the destruction of themselves. And they'll be the ones end up in jail, end up in prison while she out there with your friend. Like, that's and that's just how it works. And so, like, we're in a culture right now, and I'm happy now that we have this space where we can talk about these things, because we're in a culture where our women are incentivizing the wrong men. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we have these terms like protect black women, and we say all these things. We can yell all these things all day. But how can we protect black women if you are if you are incentivizing or if you are worshiping kinda, or you like the men that are part of the problem in our culture. Like, so we have a hard time as men that have found grounding, you know, as men that that do want to work the 9 to 5 and try to do things the right way and try to be the right way, because the women aren't attracted to that. And if we want to be honest, men want women. We do what it, you know, we do what it takes to have women around us. Like, that's what it's just what it comes down to. So I think a lot of dudes get caught up in that. And it's just something that we don't talk about enough. But now that we're in a space where we can talk about some of the wrongdoings of women and talk about some of the things that, hey, you know, us black men, we ain't been perfect over all the years. We ain't been perfect. We done messed up. You know, we done did our things. But y'all ain't perfect either, you know? And I think now that narrative, you know, now we have these channels, that narrative is being more passed, and people and younger women are being able to hear that, hopefully over all the noise of the city girls and the Megan Thee Stallions. And I understand they got to get their money, so I ain't trying to, you know, knock them, but you got to be able to decipher what's entertainment and what's not entertainment, right? So that's your job as a parent for your children and your job as a young adult. So that's on you. But, you know, I'm hoping that we do reach some of even the female audience over here in the Manosphere. I would love to see more women over here, and just hearing some of the things we have to say. Some of it is entertainment. Some of it may seem a little brutal sometimes, especially if you've never heard it. But if you take some of it with heat, hey, let's change our culture so that we get back to that 70% wedding rate or wedding rate. You know, when we were in the hardest times ever, we were still jumping the broom. Can we get back to that where we had commitment? Because that's when we were the greatest. That's when we had Black Wall Street. That's when we had Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. All these people came up at the same time, and they were all funded by black families. After that, it's over. We don't have that anymore. And I think largely is because of just promiscuity in our culture has ran rampant. And everybody blames the men for that, but I think, okay, we get it. We've heard that narrative. Let's talk about some other solutions, you know? And I think that's what we're doing now in the Manosphere, and I think it's really important, for real.
Yeah, since you're talking about the Manosphere, I definitely want to talk about that. But before we do, I'm going to kind of highlight this point. I think that men have to understand that women like balance, right? So the men out there, you guys can be the good guy, but you got to have a little rough edge.
Absolutely.
You got to understand what it truly is to be a man. So I don't think that, like, I think women need to, well, not women need to, but I think that women appreciate that. So they do want the good guy. And I'm going to give you an example, right? I got a friend, and I often have conversations with him like, you're the nice guy. You are the nice guy, but you got to have a little edge. You got to remain a mystery. You got to be spontaneous. You got to think outside the box. So thinking outside the box would be like, and I often say this, and I know it sounds kind of crazy, is, you know, try to choke her a little bit when y'all having sex. You know, just a little bit. Yeah.
Treat her like she's not your girl.
Right. Slap that ass a little bit. Slap that ass a little bit, because she's going to be caught off guard because she's so used to you being a certain way. But I think that if you learn how to manhandle her a little bit, you're not abusing her.
Right.
You know, it's not banana split. I know you guys heard that terminology before. But I just still think that you got to have a little edge. And I think Kevin Samuel spoke about this. He was speaking to the men about a man knowing how to survive. So if you know that you're short and so forth, go get the combat training that you need. Right. So that if you are ever in that situation, then you know how to defend for you and yours. You know, to have that peace inside the crib. So in the event that somebody breaks in, you know how to protect the home. Exactly. So I just think that we can still be the good guys, but we just got to have balance. We got to have a little edge. If you grew up in the suburbs, start paying attention to some of the guys that's in the space. Start reading books. Start making sense of this. Women like a guy that's an all-around type of guy, man, that could just do any and everything, man. I mean, because think about it. Imagine being in that situation where you do have a guy that's disrespectful. And the reason why I like Kevin Samuels, like when he did this monologue and it was so dope, is that a person don't have to go towards the fight. You can see somebody, but if it gets out of hand, you know how to handle that situation. Because if it gets out of hand, you don't want to be that man where people pull out the phones and they start recording you. That's exactly what he said. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
That's facts.
You know, like, you don't want to be that man where somebody hold your ass and then you just walk away. God knows what your wife or your girlfriend, what she's thinking, but I guarantee you she's looking at you a little bit different. You know, but you just want to be able to handle yourself, have that balance, have that rough edge. You can't be predictable. You got to be spontaneous. But we can segue. If you guys want to add to it, then we can. Yeah, or we can segue right into the Manosphere.
I got a little something because, what you're saying is 100% precise. And if you look at female fantasy, you see that. 50 Shades of Grey. It's a guy that during the day, he's shaking hands, smiling, showing teeth. And then at night, you tie it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at a lot like Twilight, that did huge amongst women. It's a guy, he's nice during the day, but he's a vampire. It's a little sexy. So that's what it is. It's that balance between the image and what you actually, it's pretty much, it's the balance. It's just the balance. It's being able to mix and mingle between both of those things. And another thing that you said is huge is the martial arts, because that's just going to build confidence.
Right.
You know, and if you, confidence comes from success. So you got to find your avenue of success so that you can start building confidence in yourself. What are you good at? What do you like to do? Keep doing it to be more successful at it, and that's going to transpire into your dating life, because you're used to success now. And that's what confidence comes from. Like, people are just like, go and just be confident. No, you got to apply yourself as a man to be confident, because confidence comes from success. You can't just walk into a room and fake confidence. It's going to seem arrogant. You look ridiculous. It always, and we were talking about this before the show, it looks bad. It looks horrible. We know you're faking. You're not real. We smell you from a mile away.
Right through it.
Exactly. So, like, you got to build that confidence from doing things that you like to do or doing things that you want to do, and continue to do it so that when you walk into a space and you want to start dating, you already have had success in other avenues. So now you have value. Now you feel that confidence, and I think it shows in every aspect of your life when you do something that you like to do and you do it successfully.
I'll tell you, the irony of the situation is that we have to look no further than the type of women we're attracted to realize how we should be. In terms of like spontaneity, like you can have a woman that's perfect for you, quote unquote, according to society standards, right? She goes to church every Sunday. She's not going out a lot, cooks for you every now and again, whatever, cleans the crib, all of that good domestic stuff. But if she's boring, we gonna check out.
Yeah.
It's just real, you know what I'm saying? So as a man, that's what I mean by you have to look no further than what you're interested in. If you get bored by that and you check out, hell, you think she gonna do? If you just being a standard dude with no edge, no spontaneity, no nothing. I'm coming home, going to work, bringing the check. That's it. We having missionary sex in the bed, on your bed. Like, just, fam, like, no, you gotta surprise her with, like, you gotta call her and just, again, it's just spontaneity, folks. Like, if she get out of pocket, you gotta check her and put her back in pocket.
Yeah. Like, especially if you a nice guy, that's gonna come off. They gonna love that.
Real.
You the nice guy, you just go, oh, okay, yeah, let's go and check that right now. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they love that.
Yeah, and more importantly, you gotta do that from the start of the relationship. A lot of dudes make that mistake.
Talk about that.
Nice guy go into the situation and they be like, okay, I'm gonna be a square cut, whatever. And then you got 2 years into it and she doing shit that you don't agree with. So now I'm gonna try to be this aggressive, dominant alpha. No. She's not gonna respect that.
Yeah, it's over.
You need to come into it with that mindset. And a lot of dudes don't. It's just unfortunate.
I think people need to understand too that confidence, not only women notice it, but men notice it as well.
Fact. Oh, man. Definitely.
Men notice it. I'm gonna give you an example. Like, I start understanding the importance of keeping your head up high at all times, right? Whenever I walk into a room, I keep my head above everybody. When I walk into a room, I'm able to peep everybody. I'm able to see when somebody raise their head and look at me. That's how high my head is. And I was at my previous job, right? And one of the guys walked up to me like, "What's going on, Jay?" "Yeah, I see you got your head up high, man. I see you." And he noticed it instantly, because so many people walk with their heads down. If you have your head down, you don't know what's going on.
Right.
That's a part of protection right there.
Yeah.
With everything, when you walk into a space, your head must remain high. I'm talking about, it's so high, it's almost like you getting taller than everybody. It's almost, that's how high your fucking head is, and people notice that shit. But you gotta own it. You gotta understand why your head is high. Your head is high for a reason, because I'm the best motherfucker in here.
There we go.
I'm above everybody. I don't give a damn who it is.
It's real.
You may look at that person like a celebrity, but I don't, and that's the truth. The people that I see, I respect what they do, but at the end of the day, we all humans. And I'm able to do just as much as you able to do, if not better.
Yeah.
And that's how I always look at everything. So yeah, I respect what people do, because you got to get respect. You got to humble yourself. I'm not arrogant and cocky, but I'm confident. So if I'm not where you are now, guess what? I'm gonna work and I'm gonna get there. Right. But people in general, all humans, male, female, they recognize that confidence. That confidence helps you more than it hinders you. Trust me. So you have to be confident in every situation. When you're trying to close deals, you got to be confident. You always got to feel like that you can do it, that you can convert them over. It's all about your delivery.
That's funny that you use that example because that's exactly what I was thinking about. I had on both sides. So I was at work and working at my company for a minute, and just depending on the location I've been at, there was a few times where I would just naturally walk in just being myself, and it was like, you got your chest out, your head up, you know, or they would try to like mimic how I walk, you know, and I was like, that's just me. I'm just being me. I don't know what else to do outside of just walk how I walk. But then on the flip side, I've also heard like, you walk in like you better than everybody, or, you know, I'm like, what? Like, how could you feel that? I just walk in, say what's up. I'm just, it's like even killed. Like there's no feeling. I'm just in here waiting for whatever to happen. And people get intimidated by that sometimes. Like it's just, it's crazy.
Thing is, you know what that confidence stems from? It goes back to what y'all was talking about earlier about working on your weaknesses. People don't work on their weaknesses enough. A lot of people may be good at a certain thing, and I'm gonna just stay in that area. But when you work on your weaknesses, then you get good in all the areas. Now you walk around with the mindset of, you know, just like me and bro was talking about earlier, it's like what I respect about us so much is that you can put us in any environment. Confident level is not gonna change. We could be in the hoodest of hoods, we can be in the most corporate of corporate, most intellectual, and we're gonna stand out because we can relate, we can adapt, we knowledgeable. We've been doing this shit, you know what I'm saying? We 5 years in, y'all, you know, pretty sure same length or longer, especially in regards to this relationship shit. So I don't care what platform. I could be on Oprah, I can be on whatever. I'm gonna talk that shit, and I feel like I'm gonna be able to stand out in that. And that's because we constantly working on our weaknesses. And being, you know, self-assessing. And that's another way I feel like a lot of men is dropping the ball. We don't do that enough. Self-assess. Look in that mirror, you know, be honest with yourself. You know, on exactly what I can improve on. A lot of people, you know, get so tied up in pointing fingers. When in reality, the answer to your questions 9 times out of 10 is who you see in the mirror. So, you know, we as men, we gotta definitely do a better job of that for sure.
And even if you do have some weaknesses, it's just going back to confidence, just knowing that I might be weak in this area, but I'm confident in myself that I can do it. And I can pull through and I can handle myself in whatever situation. I think that's huge. People gotta understand that too.
It's like knowing your strengths and weaknesses. You know, even if you have some of those weaknesses, I know what it ain't. Oh, I know what it is. So I sat here while y'all took care of the audio, the video, because that's not my strength. But when the camera come on, I'll talk a little bit longer or whatever it may be. And I think like when we talk about status, something that we might have just touched on that we might not even figured out yet is that when we talk about status and why people adore people that have status so much is because those people have practiced whatever they do to obtain that status to the point of success. So is that also that success and the confidence that comes with walking in the room knowing you have some value now. You know, like and it doesn't necessarily, everybody doesn't have to necessarily recognize that, but they still see you as valuable because you hold yourself to a high standard and you have that. And it's not something you can fake. It just ain't. Because I drive a Ford Taurus. So I could go to a place, you know, we in Dallas, everybody want a ball, everybody got the nicest cars, but I walk into a building and I'm confident in myself because I understand I got a podcast that's almost at 200,000 subscribers right now. I have some value to add to you. Do you want to have this? If you don't want to talk to me, that's fine because I can go make this much money and have this network right now. I don't need you, right? So that just that independence, that from knowing that I've done something that has, you know, that has built that confidence from the success of it, the repeated success of it, that stands out in a room bar none. It doesn't matter. You can have the nicest car when you walk up in there. If you don't look the part, if you're not good at nothing, people can smell it. We know. We see you.
Hey, it's 2 things I want to say. Like the first thing is we was just at an event, was it Friday? And the one thing that I noticed, because I told you my head is so high on reading the room, is that I noticed people looking at me trying to figure out who I was. They may not recognize you, but I peeped it. I observed what they was doing. And that comes with the confidence, man. It's just knowing when you walk into a room, I'm that motherfucker. I was gonna say I'm that nigga, but I guess I can say I'm that nigga. I'm that nigga, regardless of what anybody they can say. I'm that nigga. And the other thing I wanted to add is that in order to be able to grow, you gotta get uncomfortable. You gotta get uncomfortable. One of the things that people don't understand is that by nature I'm an introvert. You know, I don't fuck with motherfuckers. I had to work on listening because somebody be talking and I just zone out because I really don't give a fuck about what they talking about. You know. But I like to put myself in situations where I have no choice but to learn, thrive, or be better than what I am. And so that's what I'm doing right now. When I reach out to you guys, when I'm me doing this right now, it feels a little bit uncomfortable, but I hate being hindered in life.
Right. Yeah.
I was one of those people. I grew up in the hood, right? But I think the balance came from when my mother, we had a sponsor. I don't know, she had a sponsor pay for me to be in a Catholic grammar school. So even though I stayed in the hood, that's where I think that balance came in, right? And I did a bunch of hood shit, but I think the school helped balance me out.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I hate when I went to high school is so easy. How is motherfuckers failing? And when I got that progress report, I hate being like lower than number 10. You see that class rank? And I was always in the top 10. And of course I got opportunities. I had a bunch of honor classes, and most of my classes, it was women. I loved it. I was about 2 or 3 guys, and the other 2 or 3 guys, they were squares.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting back looking like, these motherfuckers real nerds, but, and fast forward, my senior year, I wasn't able to get the AP class because I was the fucking one goofing around all the time. She probably didn't want to see me, because it was all a joke to me because school was so easy. So the point that I'm making is that I hate being left behind. I hate being at the bottom. I always got to be at the top. And so this worked perfect for my life because even now, I really don't like fucking talking too much. But I'm challenging myself. I'm putting myself out there. I'm networking. I'm going to events where I have no choice but to network. Yeah. And I'm just putting it all together. That's the only way that you're going to be able to grow. If you keep being who you are, it's no benefit. We got one life to get this right. We got one life to experience. We got one life to be able to talk to these people. We got one life to try to make the best of it. So I'm damn sure going to make the best of it. And it is what it is. So the whole point is get uncomfortable in order to be able to grow.
And bro, I think you touched on something very important. I honestly want to go around the room and get y'all take on what y'all feel like y'all can improve. I mean, we heard JR. Everybody is, excelling that's sitting down here. But we all got weaknesses too. So if it was something that you feel like you can improve on, what would it be?
Easy. Mine would be financial literacy. Easy. And I feel like for a lot of people, that's what it is. Growing up, what I'm saying? It was save here or, but it wasn't just no real plan like we were saying before, if you living off of 30%, 20%, things like that. Like for the most part, we like nice things. Right. We, what I'm saying, we gotta have as soon as you get a raise, you moving somewhere nice, or you getting a better car or whatever, instead of just really, what I'm saying, hunkering down and then stacking up even more on top of that.
Yeah, that's real.
So, I feel like a lot of people get caught up in living the day to day and, not necessarily planning for the future as much. Because, we don't know what's promised tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So it is kind of like living on that edge of fear. It's like, okay, well, if I save $100,000 and I'm gone tomorrow, my family may have it, but I don't have it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're thinking about that. So financial literacy definitely is one of my weaknesses that I'm trying to get stronger at too, because I like to have fun. I'm like, I'm going to get it back. That's how I feel. Yeah. Instead of just saving and saving and saving and just, cutting my phone off and not bothering nobody for a little bit. I definitely want to, improve in that area.
That's dope, man.
Thanks.
I think mine has got to be just being more socially out there, being more willing to network, being more willing to sit down with people and have conversations and doing all the stuff that we're doing right now, because I love what we're doing right now. Right. But if you would ask me a week ago, I'm sitting at the house and I'm good. But like he said, I'm trying to put myself in positions where I'm out there and about there, and I'm trying to mix and mingle with everybody else too, because I think it's important. And I think it's especially important for people that are in good situations that look like us. Because so often we could get to the point where we just want to deal with ourselves. I don't want to deal with nobody that look like me. I don't want to, go out and network with other men. Just because it can be inconvenient sometimes. Like you got to drive, you got to go out of your way sometimes. But at the end of the day, you're only as valuable as the value you add to other people. That's like the whole definition of valuable. Like people be talking about I'm valuable, but what do you do for the people around you? Because if you're just valuable to yourself, who are you valuable to? When I say that watch is valuable or he is valuable, it's because I value him or I see value in him. If you ain't added no value to nobody else, you're never gonna actually be valuable. So I think that when I become more out there, more willing to network and willing to reach out and, you know, and get on more shows and stuff. And that's what I've been working on. That's why I was on the Lapeef show. Yeah. And that's why, you know, we all here too, you know. But that's something that I'm working on definitely because I think it's important, especially in the long run.
You know what I know you're going to talk about. I really wanted to say this is that, like, I see you guys. And sometimes I purposely reach out because I want to challenge you guys to be in a different situation. You know, to be in a space that you're really not uncomfortable, to see how you're going to operate in it. You know, so I do look at your content, and I was very pleased that you came on because I feel like you was challenged yourself. And I could kind of hear, like, the dialogue that we were talking through text and saying, yeah, I'm gonna come. Cause I'm like, that's what I was like,
what's the show gonna be about? He was like, well, we don't really do that over here. We just kind of talk.
No matter what the show gonna be about.
Where that's gonna go?
Just show up and get uncomfortable with me because I damn near be uncomfortable. And then one of the things that I noticed too, and I would like for all us to do, people gotta understand that you're not going to be the lead every single time with every single thing.
Yep.
So one of the things that I noticed was like, and I had this conversation, it's not bragging, but it's just understanding about sometimes we got to step up and take the lead. I wanted to make sure that this conversation, what we're doing right now, happen. I said, I'll take the lead and I'll make sure that this shit happens right now.
Right.
Because I want to make sure this is an opportunity for people to be able to see us all in one space. And we all have our individual fans. And when they see these pictures and shit, they like, man, that's what's up. You know, the Avengers are coming together and so forth, all type of shit. But they love us. You know, let's get together and have these conversations and let's do it more often. I can't wait till I'm thinking about going there. I ain't gonna say nothing.
I know where you're going.
Say that.
But the point that I'm making is that being able to take the lead in certain situations and then being comfortable to be able to be led. Like, I have no problem. Like on King Talk, this man is phenomenal. He is phenomenal, man, in the way he delivers and speaks and stuff. He's much better than me, you know, when it comes to that. And so what I look at is that I'm going to work up to get to that level. I'm going to read some books, expand my vocabulary a little bit, learn how to critically think a little bit better. It is what it is, man. You know, I'm challenging them. I'm looking at you guys and Pour Me a Podcast. Man, God damn, Trey, like your mind, like you young. All y'all younger than me. And I'm just looking like I missed a beat somewhere, and it's okay, you know. I accept what it is. As long as people can understand what I'm saying, I'm comfortable with it. But I have no problem giving people their flowers, and I just appreciate that because what I can't give, you can give. You can give, and you can give.
Right.
And that's why I just appreciate knowledge. You know, I'm not trying to compete with you guys. I mean, if you guys are doing good, you guys are doing better, that's fine. But I'm not looking at numbers. I'm just looking at the value that we bring and if we collab and we can do things together. It's awesome, man. But shout out to you guys, man, because you guys are just dope in your own individual way, and I appreciate the uniqueness.
I appreciate you,
gang. That's a good show there. That's a good show there.
Real. Yeah, mine, I don't know, man. I think something I can improve on is my fear of success. I think a lot of people, or most people, say that they fear failing, but I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of people fear success, and I know I do. It's because of the obligation that comes with it, right? And let me explain it.
So much to maintain.
Right, like failure, you can tie that to excuse, and that's why, you know, growing up in the environments that a lot of us grew up in, a lot of people are stuck there. And you'll go back and ask them, wow, oh, nah, man, I could have went to the league, bro, but I ain't want to, you know what I'm saying? I could have got this good job. I could have moved out of town, but nah, this my hood. This is why I'm mad, or, you know, whatever the case may be, or, you know, the coach was hating on me, man, or this, that. Like, it's real easy to explain failure, right, or make an excuse for failure. But when you're successful, the obligation that comes with maintaining it will break most people. And what I mean by that is way easier to explain failing than it is for you to go win and then fall off and explain that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like getting out of my own way in terms of that and just leaning into the obligation that comes with success. And again, I get in my own way a lot, which taps into what y'all was saying about networking, about reaching out. Bro be on me all the time. Man, why don't reach out to them, man? Let's link with them, or let's do this, let's do that. And I be like, man, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? And it's part of, you know, upbringing, and it's part, again, like I said, just fearing success. And that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But when you really unpack it, it'll start to make more sense. So that's something that I want to improve on. I want to start reaching out. I want to start doing more stuff like this. I want to, again, because I'm introverted as well. But again, you put me in a room with people, and I can have a conversation, especially in terms of situations like this.
Yeah, it's part of that balance.
Yeah, so it's like just getting out of my own way and just leaning into what success would be. That's what I need to improve on.
Man, the one thing that I hate is just when I think about something I could have done and I never did.
Man,
that's so that's why I hate to go home and be like, damn, I wish I would have talked to her, or damn, I wish I would have said something. Even that event, I know you left. But I was just like, I'm gonna go talk to this motherfucker. Like, I'm gonna see what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna leave up out of here. I'm gonna go talk to that motherfucker too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I made sure just so I can kind of feel the vibe. And it's just like, what did I come here for? The first reason why I came here was to connect, was to network. So I wanted to make sure before I left there that I connected with who I needed to connect with.
Right.
Yeah. So I know we talked about the Manosphere a little bit. How do you gentlemen feel about women being in the Manosphere? Well, let me hold on. Before we get there, a lot of people associate different people with the Manosphere. Do you guys associate yourself with the Manosphere?
That is a very interesting question.
That was a good question.
Me and bro was talking about this earlier. Like, we don't believe in the whole red pill, blue pill thing in terms of us. I understand the ideologies behind it. I understand how certain people fall on it. I think me personally, I know I could probably speak for bro too. He believes in truth. Doesn't matter who looks bad when I tell it, right? But a lot of times in, say, the red pill community, the truth will be biased toward men. Blue pill community, the truth will be biased toward women. That's not saying that you're lying. I'm not saying that you're, blatantly omitting information, but you're going to say something that makes my side sound good. And I feel like we don't do that. Whichever side of the fence truth falls on, that's what we on. If it make us look bad, so be it. If it makes them look bad, so be it. And this is why. So to answer the question, I don't really feel like we're a part of it. I feel like we kind of on the outside of it, kind of looking in. But yeah, that's just my take.
What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely in it. I think I'm all the way in it. So I do understand what you're saying as far as being biased towards the men and women, but for me personally, I think that it's natural to kind of see your side easier than it is to see other people's opinion and perspectives of different things. So I think that just naturally, me as a person is going to have a bias, and I often talk about this in my content. Well, I try to as much as I can. Like, this is always going to be biased because this is targeted towards men. This isn't necessarily for women. Now, there are lessons you can learn as a woman here, and I hope that there are more women that will hear the things that we have to say, because I think that it could be important if you apply it as a woman. But this is a tough spot for you because it is male media, so from that aspect, since I am making male media, a lot of my topics, a lot of my thumbnails, a lot of my titles are targeted towards a male audience. It will attract the attention of mostly men. I would have to consider myself in the manosphere. But when I look into the depths of my content, I try to be as balanced and unbiased as possible, like you guys might. But like I say, I am a man and I am human, so that natural bias is probably going to exist to some degree in me. Valid. So but I do agree. Y'all do a really good job at trying to keep things really balanced.
I appreciate it.
I think
I'm gonna answer that question as well. I've always said this, and you guys may have heard it before. The audience chooses, who you are. You don't choose. You don't choose who you are. You may feel it, but the audience, if you decide to think a certain way, guess who's going to determine whether you're part of the manosphere? The people that originated it in the audience from what you hear. So
that's true.
When I put out information, I'm just putting out information. Now, I have learned a lot. I didn't know what the manosphere was when I came to YouTube. That wasn't my goal.
Me neither. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it until people started associating. Certain times they're associated with it, so I'm not going to really say I'm in a manosphere.
Lapeef, did they hit you with the this is a Kevin Samuels talking point? Every time I talk, they talking about Kevin Samuels. I'm like, what about Patrice O'Neal? What about the all the people that talked about this stuff before? But it's good that he's had that impact because it's become more mainstream. But I'd be like, I can't say nothing without it being Kevin Samuels talking point.
Well, what I think people need to understand is that I'm putting out information, and I'm also learning about certain things. I know I had this conversation with somebody, like I know who I was before all of this, and very much what you see is still who I am. And I still carry some of them same values. I never knew how to explain what it was. I mean, the Manosphere is a label, just like everything else. Some people don't like labels, but I feel like labels help us identify, certain things. It is what it is. Labels are needed. That's how you can kind of, categorize what's what. But when I came to this space, it was just to put information out. I am a man, and I do like the man point of view. And what I think people are misunderstood on is that I have a network, right? So when people watch the La People's talk show, they don't understand the impact that it has within this space. And I could be wrong, right? I think it has a huge impact on the space because we see a lot of reaction videos.
You're right.
Definitely does.
We see a lot of conversations about it. And so I want to make sure that that's out there, because without the K and Kayla's and the different opinions, then it's like, it wouldn't be a conversation. It wouldn't be no reaction videos. It wouldn't stir up anything. And it's not saying that that's the point, but I think that a lot of people think the way that they think. So it's beneficial for us to have the tough conversations, as I say, and seeing like what's what. Solutions, are we going to get it all the time? I think there are some solutions in there. It's just whatever you take away from it. A lot of people take away solutions, despite some of you guys that's out there that say there isn't any solutions. And then some people say there aren't any solutions. If you don't see no solutions, then guess what? Take what you need from it and leave. And you should apply that to life. Yeah. Take what you need from people. Just have an open mind. A lot of people just listen to respond. It happens all the time. But just listen. If you don't need it, you ain't got to announce that you don't need it. Mm-hmm. If you enjoy it, then celebrate that. Celebrate the positives and don't focus on the negatives. But back to this whole Manosphere thing, that's why I created King Talk, because I understand what La People's talk is. It's mostly male topics. Mm-hmm. The women chime in and give their perspectives. And so I wouldn't say that it's 100% balanced, because I do hear a lot of women like, why you guys always bashing women? It's not that. It's just, it's a predominantly male perspective with a hint and touch of woman. Right. But then I had King Talk, and King Talk is just all men, and that's the reason why it's the man space. Yep. Men do need their space, and I appreciate the growth of it and where it's going. It's going to be bigger and better. Shout out to Krew right here, because he definitely adds that special dynamic to it. But appreciate me being part of the Manosphere, I mean, if I am, then cool. If not, then I'm still going to be cool. The main thing is that I'll put out the information that I feel passionate about. And I'm just going to just make sure that I grow. I do listen to what you guys are saying. Like, the King Talk came about is because a lot of people were getting tired of what was going on with a lot of people that's talking, the whole women thing. And I said, you know what, I'm going to give us a space. Mm-hmm. And so only men can come in and add value, and I appreciate it. So that's my thoughts about the whole am I part of the Manosphere.
Genius.
So then, with that being said, when you introducing the women into that, and I think this would be interesting from y'all perspective too, because y'all consider yourself on the outside looking in. Mm-hmm. Do y'all think that women should have a spot? Like the original question, do you think that women should have a spot in the Manosphere? Should that be accepted? Because I'll have a video where even the women will agree wholeheartedly. They'll go, oh, I've been married for 16 years. I love cooking for my husband when he comes home. And then there's some dude in the comments talking about oh, you're just a chameleon. You're just trying to blend in. Right. you know all the terms these people be using, right? So, like, I wonder, like, do you guys think that's a thing? Do you think that women should be in the Manosphere? Do you think that, do you think women should be in the Manosphere? Let's just stop it there.
I say no. And the reason I say no is because the presence of women jades the truth that most men will tell, if we're going to be honest. It's similar to like the military, right? Like I don't feel like women should be in the military in terms of like active battle, different things like that, because just a woman being there, it's going to make me hesitate on certain things, you know what I'm saying, compared to if it's us four out there, you got your gun, I got my gun, okay, bro, watch my 12, you watch my 6, you watch my 3, and I got confidence that y'all going to be able to just react instead of thinking. But if it's a woman here, I'm gonna be doing my job, but I'm gonna be peeking to make sure she good, to try to protect her. Yeah. And I feel like with the presence of women in the Manosphere, you're gonna have guys that's not gonna be as truthful as they should be and as extreme as they should be, and that's gonna water down the message. So that's just my opinion.
I like that point. I'll go next. if we had this label of Manosphere, I just think it should be just men. I'm okay with women having whatever that title may be, woman's spear, women's spear, or something like that. Then I think that they have their own category, and you can see everybody that falls within it. But women being part of the Manosphere per se, that title, that label, nah. I think that they should have their own space, and we appreciate it. I definitely appreciate,
Me too.
like the Chantel Simones, the Amiras, like the River TV, like the Rebeccas, and them putting other women on game. But I think that they need their own label. If I had the choice.
Yeah, but I kind of think that. I think that without them even having anything to do with it, they kind of do have their own space. Now, I don't think that it's the female dynamic that I wish it was. I wish it was more women listening to those women. But generally speaking, I guarantee you, if you look at their statistics, the vast majority of their audience are still men. You know what I mean? So I think they kind of do have their own space. I think Chantel, by the way, shout out to you. I did my first interview ever with her, actually. So she was one of the first, and that was back in January. That's when I only had like 1,000 subscribers. Right. So like, I really do appreciate her for that. But I do think that they already have their own kind of thing, where they're in the area where select men that want to hear women talk about these issues will go over there and hear their conversations. Right. But I hope that them being women attracts more women into that spot, so that they may be, it's an easier step into getting into more of the crazier concepts, maybe, of the, like me, MCR, O'Shea, whoever it may be. It's an easier step into getting into those spaces. So I think that they definitely have their place, and I think they do a good job at doing what they do. And I love that they go and join shows like yours, because it does add that dynamic. Because truthfully speaking, a lot of the guys want a woman there, because it adds another dynamic to the conversation. Now sometimes, like you said, you do King's Talk and people enjoy that. But a lot of the shows that do especially well are the ones where women that come in and they have their own opinions on certain things. And I love when the women can come in and it ain't just city girls. It ain't the same thing, same opinion. There's a woman that's there that's like, hey, I'm a black woman, but I do believe that we do have traditional roles. I do believe that my man should leave me. I do believe, I should take care of some kids. I want to do that. I want to do it that way, and I think it adds the balance to it, because we always got the, Fresh and Fit, their whole show is based on the city girls kind of mindset. So I think when you add that balance to like the Chantels and the Rhea TV, right, and the Six the Goddess, like all of them.
Yeah, shout out to Six.
I think they add a strange balance to it, but in a good way though. Yeah.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with just being men in the Manosphere. I feel like it's almost like, in a lot of ways, it's like barbershop talk. You know what I'm saying? Just men getting their shit off their chest, just talking about everyday things that go on. But now we have a platform, and so we have young adults and people our age trying to learn and trying to get new information. And all we doing is sharing the game that we know, and growing from there. So, but I don't know, like you were saying, like having a woman in that space too, like you can't all the way be yourself. You got to be conscious about what you say sometimes. You don't want to offend them and things like that. But when it's just the guys, you can just kick it, whatever. It's like, it's just no filter. It's like a code that we naturally understand. And I think that's why the Manosphere is important. Plus, we share everything with them anyway. Yeah. Like, can't we have something for once?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let us finally be able to talk our shit. Like, we haven't ever been able to talk. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so now we got this channel. We got a lot of men, with similar content. We got a lot of men that's passionate, a lot of men that want to change. We have a lot of young men who are looking for some positive male influences, period. So that's why I think it's super important, because you don't want too many blue pill men, because then you have a lot of issues in relationships today. Yeah. Because they're listening to the women. Not saying that women are wrong, because women definitely have needs that need to be met, and we got to be more open-minded, and we have to, of course, take their feelings into consideration, things like that. Yeah. But it's like just like raising a kid in the household, like having a man in the household versus not having a man in the household. How that trajectory falls. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So the Manosphere is definitely important, because it has to be a lot of like matter of fact things. Like, this is what it is. Right. It should be no other way. Not no, think about this. It's like, nah, this is what it is, period.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you guys want to start it here, but women, if you are considering yourself part of the Manosphere, let's starting today, whenever you guys see this this taping right here, the woman spear. The woman spear has been created.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you guys are part of the Manosphere. I want you to say something. I know you're gonna say something. And I got a question real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna add to what he was saying. I think if it's divided like that, it makes for more compelling content when we do come together. Right, like we building our situation, they building their situation. They got their big ass platform, they got our big ass platform, and then we can link and bring all that together. Like I feel like it just makes for compelling, entertaining content. You know what I'm saying? And I think people need to start thinking about it that way, and not personalizing it so much. Because that's what I feel like happens a lot. Like when we be on here making these statements, and a lot of times we'll catch heat for that. Just speaking on what he said, man was just now able to really start talking in terms of like expressing how we really feel, uninterrupted, not having to babysit feelings or nothing like that. And that's why so many people in the Manosphere are under heat all the time. Kevin Samuels, people like that, for making simple statements that every man agree with, but I ain't really got the nuts to say it because I know what's gonna come behind it. But again, that's why I think we need to keep it in-house. Now women can comment on it in the comments and all of that, but as far as like implementing them into the Manosphere, I don't agree with that. Y'all build y'all's, we build ours, and let's come together, do a battle of the sexes, healthy battle of the sexes, and we can learn from each other and cross fan bases and all of that good stuff. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Okay, what I wanted to add is that when it comes to men, to me it's like an on and off switch, right? When you put out information, so either you alpha or you beta, and if you're gonna put the information out, you put it out as this way, or you put it out in the beta way, so to speak, right? Otherwise, you shouldn't be able to put no information out, period. When it comes to women, I know we're talking about the women's spear, because that's what we created right here. It's the women's spear. We're going to put them in that category. We hear the terminology of a chameleon, of somebody that appears to be traditional, but they are modern. So we do have some women that are not quite in this women's spear, however you want to put it. I guess we're going to finalize that before the night is out.
Yeah, we got to trademark that.
Yeah. But in the women's spear, they're not quite there yet. So would you put them in that category of being in the women's spear, the woman's spear? Would you put them in that category, or would you say that they're just in training?
I think, me personally, I think that there's men in the Manosphere that ain't masculine. I think there's men in the Manosphere that ain't. And I always do quotations when we say beta.
Right.
Like we just saying these things so y'all can understand. We don't. If we having conversations, we not calling nobody no blue pill. We not doing that. That's just for the people that's listening. But there are plenty of guys that you would consider beta that are doing very well in the space. There are guys that. So I just think that that's going to come with it. I think that when you have a space that's doing well, I think that there are people that are going to try to blend in and be chameleons. You only call it that on the women's side, but if you're completely honest and unbiased, there's a lot of them dudes on the men's side too. It's a lot of them. So I think that they are technically a part of that group still. They just might not be the ideal piece of that puzzle. They're going to have their place eventually because people still enjoy that content, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever way, you look at it. But I think that they are still a part of it technically. But, even though they don't follow all the rules, that exists in the Manosphere too. So to exclude them and to say that they're not a part of the Manosphere, I think would just be not fair. Or not a part of the women's sphere, I think would be unfair because we got dudes that are in the Manosphere that do the same kind of stuff, just in the opposite way.
Gotcha.
Oh, you want to touch on it?
No, I think y'all hit on it.
I feel like you summarized it enough. So I don't want to be the dead horse. I think bro cooked that.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking there was something else I wanted to add on to that. The whole chameleon. As far as with Manosphere, I lost my track.
I got a question though. Where's the line between a pick me and a woman that's just standing on like what it is that she believes in terms of like traditional value? Because we see a lot of that in this Manosphere, right? If we have bring a woman on the platform, and she actually agrees with us, they're killing in the comments, calling her pick me, this, that, and the third. Like, how do y'all feel about that? Like, what's the variance? What's the difference between a pick me and a woman who's just standing on? What is that she believe in?
To kind of add on what we was talking about before in this question, I think that we do respect women that are trying to change. Mm-hmm. You know, there are some women that have adopted certain ways, their upbringing, and I know Chantel Simone is one of them. She said she was one of the women out here that felt like she didn't need a man, and once she started learning and understanding and the benefit from being traditional and being able to be married and understanding what men want and what they desire, then she ultimately became a better person. So I'm not mad at the chameleons. The only time I'm mad at the chameleons is if they don't acknowledge what they're doing. So if they may do something, even men, you know, if you're wrong, we should be able to hold you accountable. Right. But I think that you have to have an open mind, because there's been some times that I didn't see things the way that I probably should have, or I could have done things better, or you know, one of the things that I want to hold myself accountable for is sometimes the women can get out of line on the show, and I can do a better job as far as maintaining them, putting them in their place. You know, so that's something that I hold myself accountable for, and I do listen. When I look at comments and hearing people, I'm looking at what I can take from it and get better. A lot of people may say a lot of negative things, but I'm looking at constructive criticism and being able to apply it. I'm not above being wrong. I'm not this superhuman. You know, I sometimes do make mistakes, and one of the things that I know Kevin Samuels has suggested is that, you know, he would like to see the women on the, you know, when they own being put in their place. You know, the understanding of them not being able to dominate the show. And he had a valid point. I do think that women, as far as Lapeef Network on the Lapeef Let's Talk show in particular, that they shouldn't dominate the show. And sometimes it can come off of that. But in real time, you may miss certain things. But being able to own it and being able to look at it and learn from it, I think is huge. So, again, I appreciate the women that are trying, and I think that men should do a better job as far as holding themselves accountable, being able to listen, because you got some of these superhumans out here within a space and superhumans around you that just feel like they can't do no wrong. You will never grow. You will never grow if you had that mindset. So I just appreciate me having an open mind, man. And when people call me out, I don't get in my feelings and take it personal.
Valid.
I think, like when you talk about the pick-me's versus the naturally just traditional women that already get it. Right. I think the difference is the same thing that we see when we see guys, and I know that this is kind of going back to what we talked about a little bit, but I think it's a huge problem in the space. It's that same thing where you're talking about people just faking. You know, so I think a pick-me is a person that's doing what's necessary, do what they feel like they gotta do to put out that image. Like, you don't cook and clean, you don't do this, you know, you just doing too much. Like it ain't really a word I can say that will make you understand when it's fake. But when you see it, when you hear it, you know it's not real. Like a woman that's truly traditional, she not even gonna be the one that's loudest in the room. That's the crazy part about traditional women, and that's why they go so unheard. That's the reason why we have so much of what we have, is because the loudest women in the room are the ones that's masculine. Like I see so many situations where it'll be two women and one of them be feminine. You got the big friend, she might be a little bit more, hey, I want you to don't talk to her, this is my friend. You know, like, are you her boyfriend? Like you in a relationship? Y'all got something going on? So like, I think that just like that difference, I think it's the same way. I think it's some women are just trying too hard. They're faking the confidence. They're faking the funk, and you can always tell. And some men are out doing the same thing. And we got these names for it when it comes to women in the manosphere. But like Lapeef said, we need to hold these people accountable that's practicing that same behavior that are men. Because there are a lot of men that's faking confidence, that's faking quote-unquote alpha. Generally speaking, if you say the word alpha, let's just be completely honest. Let's just be completely honest. I might say it. People be like, why did you put that in the title? What's an alpha male? I'm like, bro, it's for the algorithm. I don't even use that terminology, bro. Like, you know me. I don't even say stuff like that. If you over here talking about, I'm an alpha male, and you just doing too much, we can pick up on that, and we know it's not real. So I think women have that same thing when it comes to pick-me's. I think they can identify when certain women are just faking it and just doing too much. There are traditional women, and those are generally speaking the most quiet women in the room because they're traditional. They're more reserved. So I think that the louder women, the ones that are not traditional, get a lot of the space and they get to do a lot of the talking, and they end up convincing women that might even be traditional originally, and some women that are in that transitional space, that pick-me space potentially, into becoming more masculine because they're the loudest in the room and those are the people that they hear. But I think it's very similar to men faking the funk. I think women can pick up on it, and that's the difference between a pick-me and a woman that's actually traditional. Just doing too much.
Valid, man. I think you touched on something important that I want to get a little deeper into. Femininity. There's been an uptick in like masculine women, and I kind of want to get y'all opinion on what y'all think that stems from. Who contributes to it? Like, what is the reasoning for the uptick in just masculine women?
I don't know. I feel like part of it is just them trying to prove themselves. And because they're proving themselves, because they work so hard, I feel like they're almost trying to, it's like catch up to men. Like men is their competition. Yeah. So if you really listen to a lot of things that they say, it's exactly what men say. It's just coming from their mouth. And they carrying, the same attitude. They, want to be rough and tough. Can't nobody tell them nothing. They got their backbone. They got so much success behind them. So it's like, it's also part of their ego too. But they don't know how to balance it and tone it down. Because as men, they want us to be soft and nurturing and caring and listen to them, but then also feel that masculine role. And it's like they don't know how to turn it on and turn it off, and then they'll also say, well, which I hate, well, only certain men are capable of getting my femininity.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That sounds stupid. So I mean, only a certain amount of women are capable of my masculinity? Like, am I not supposed to be a real man around certain women or something? Like, how does that even sound? Like, it don't make sense to me. So yeah, I think there's a big issue with that, and it's just, like I said, I think it just comes from competition. It's a new realm for a lot of women. They've had opportunities and being able to make more money than they've ever made before. So it's a different space to be in, and they feel so empowered. And instead of trying to work alongside of them, they trying to like beat you, or be better at it than you are. Instead of, like I said, instead of working together. So I think that's a big issue.
JR, what you feel like contributes to this masculine woman situation?
Can you say the original question again?
Yeah, I presented it like, because he had touched on femininity, and I feel like that's very important that we address that. I feel like there's an uptick in masculine women in this era. And I feel like, what do you feel like is responsible for that uptick?
I just think it's just like society, the whole system that's being put in place. I think it's been designed so that the women are empowering themselves to be equal and to be bigger than man. So I think that's a huge thing, and I think that now women are trying to get to the bag, that they're being programmed, whether it's by the parents or whether it's by society, the information, social media, that they are equal and that they are better than us. So when you have that, I think I was having this conversation like with Kayla, and I think she might have asked me something. The question is going to come to my mind, but I can't think about it right off top. But it's just crazy how the world is now, because I think the question she had was that, damn, I can't think of it. I almost want to call her right now. I asked her that question because I think it was interesting, but I feel like everything around us is making it this way. I think she was saying that back in the day, women depended more on the men for survival because they didn't have everything that we have now. Right. Now they don't have to do that.
Right.
They can go and get their own. So I think that raised a good point, and I probably want to segue after we go around and get responses. But ultimately, I just think that the society and the systems and the upbringings in this new modern world, that is the factor in why we are starting to see more masculine women nowadays.
Trey.
I think that a lot of women, I think they mistaked equality for being the same. You know, like, and I give this example sometimes on the show. I'll say 2 + 2 is 4. 3 + 1 is also 4. We don't have to be the same to be equal. And I think that nature does that for us. It does its job for us, but a lot of people aren't getting that message. They'll say, oh, well, men can sleep around. Why can't women? Well, there's something called pregnancy. And the truth of the matter is, if you sleep around enough, that's a reality for you. And so you're seeing a lot of women trying to take that narrative. We're equal. We're the same as men. I'm sorry, not even equal. We're the same as men. And they're taking it all the way home to the point where they end up pregnant, and now you stuck. Because you're not following what's actually real. And the truth of the matter is, we can be equal and not the same at the same time. And what's really interesting about it is, like you said, we've just gotten to the point where women can kind of even have that freedom. If you talk about like the pill, like the birth control pill that was introduced, that's all innovation from men. So like everything that we have has kind of been innovated by men largely, okay, and what we do as men is pacify women. Women are higher in like in depression and anxiety. They're just naturally just naturally more anxious. So we cook a meal, or we go and hunt. We bring back meat, and they go, but what about tomorrow? And that's what's kind of built society. They always have a concern, and we are developed to pacify that concern. And the man that pacifies that concern the most by having the most resources is the man that's going to generally get picked. So that interesting dynamic is what has led us to have everything that we have. All this stuff, all these conveniences, society in general has been created for women and children by men. And so it's so sad to see so many women think that we don't like women. I'm like, literally our whole existence is to please women. Men get money to largely attract the attention of women. Like I'm getting in shape to attract the attention of more women. I don't want, and I think when you get too big, some of them dudes be disappointed when they realize the only men on your comment section when you looking like this is other men talking about, bro, you look good. Like, nobody want to hear that. You want to hear it from women. So like, it's just such a sad thing to see that so many women have bitten into the narrative that men don't like them and men hate them. When if we're completely honest, the only reason, let's just be real, bro. It was like when we talk about the women are like, oh, at some point men were allowed to hit their wives with a stick that was the width of a thumb or something like that. Well, that rule was taken away because enough men said that, well, that's kind of ridiculous and we don't want to do that. So we're not going to do that. It wasn't women in the streets that are, making us do these things. It's because men naturally want to do what's best for women. That's what we strive to do. And I think now that we have things like the pill, it gives women a little bit more liberty, because before that they didn't have that liberty. As a woman, if you were sleeping around and you got pregnant, you felt the consequence of that. There wasn't no pill. There wasn't no plan Bs to get you out of that situation. So we kind of criminalized being promiscuous as a woman. That's why it was criminalized. It wasn't criminalized because of we just don't like women and we want to suppress women's sexuality. It was criminalized because you can actually gonna have the repercussions that come with that if you sleep around with men, because there is no birth control pill. It was criminalized because things like syphilis was sweeping through all of Europe and killing hundreds of millions of people, these STDs, and there was no way to cure that. There were no ways to remedy that. So that's why it was demonized. And a lot of women kind of go with the narrative that, oh, men just never liked women and we drugged them throughout society, like we just, and they didn't enjoy our company. And I'm like, a lot of everything that what we did is for women. Even if you look at marriage, a lot of women will say, oh, that had nothing to do with women, but at least those men were expected to be consistent. Because y'all making the rules yourselves now, but what has that gotten? Single motherhood rate, more women dependent on the government. And we want to believe this boss babe narrative, but the average woman makes about 40K. You ain't, you know what I'm saying? If you got a child with that, you ain't doing that well for yourself. And I think that it goes into another sphere of, I think that corporations are also feeding into this a little bit, because it helps to have people isolated. Strong families don't go into the metaverse. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, like, this is another thing. Strong families aren't on Instagram all day. A strong wife that's traditional isn't on Instagram all day. So Facebook ain't getting the money that they want to get. So I think that you kind of feed these policies, and these lobbyists go into certain spheres, because we know if we want more marriage, let's make it more balanced for men and women. Like, let's make it so that men can at least have some security, so we ain't just getting taken advantage of in every sense of the word. 90% of the time women are getting custody of the children, even though we are equal.
Facts.
If we're all equal, why are 90% of the time when the woman is less financially stable is she getting the kids? You know what I'm saying? So like, it's obviously biased towards them, and I think that we don't look at that in policy because it doesn't benefit the people that want to make the money. You know what I'm saying? And I be talking about this sometimes on the show too. A lot of people don't know, but the state gets to collect 60% of every dollar of child support. So when guys go, well, I'm on child support, I take care of my kids, I understand that the state gets that money. So everybody is working against you.
Yep.
Everybody is working against you.
Yep.
And if we wanted stronger families, we would look into some of these policies, but we want people to be separate because independent women buy more stuff because they want to attract they want to show off to their friends. They want to show that they're happy on social media. So I think that there's so many. I think it's a multifaceted problem. I think there's so many components to it, and we're so deep in it now that it's like, man, we look up and because we didn't even know it was a competition as men. Like we looked up in 2010, 2011, the Manosphere started coming in. We started like, dang, like yeah, they're kind of right. Like I have conversations with women and I can't even get a word in. I got this girl that's 5'5" yelling in my face. I'm a grown man. I can lift her and flip her up on the side of her head, but she knows that she has protection through the law, and so that's the only reason she getting bucked. The only reason she in my face is because she knows that she can bully me, because if I do anything to protect myself, I'm gonna go to jail, or other men are gonna step in to protect her, and I'm gonna get beat up. Let's just be completely honest. It's just so much. We've kind of over the years they've slowly taken so much ground in that direction that now we look up and we like, damn, we in a war.
Right.
Like this is a whole we're competing against women. Like I thought we were working in cahoots. That's what we thought for all of these years.
That's real.
Next thing you know, you look up and it's just nonsense, man. And I think that when we were in a situation that was supposedly misogynistic, when men actually had expectations for other men to get, if you sleeping with this woman, you better marry her. Shotgun weddings.
Right.
When people would sleep with a person, you better get married. Like, because you didn't took it there. That, as a man, that's what you got to do. And at least he had to have consistency. Now that women have a less misogynistic society, I'm seeing worse results for women, truly. So, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 5 to 10 years because... And y'all know this is my thing. I can talk about it.
I love it.
That's right.
That's all I talk about. So, but I just think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 5 to 10 years, man. And I just hope that we can recorrect, because I think family has more value than just...
Big time.
Yeah, man. Like, and as men, like when I got married, it changed me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too.
And I ain't got kids yet, but I would assume that's gonna change me too, because now I have to sacrifice my independence and rely on society.
Right.
I have more of an investment into society now. Now I care about what you're talking about. Or now I care about Cardi B. Now I care about the message she's sending to young girls. Now I care about certain things that I may not have cared about as an individual, as a man, because I have that independence. When I have a child, I now depend on society. I have to make society better in order for my kids to have a better life. Facts. And that's part of the investment that men have in particular when it comes to that. And that's part of the sacrifice that we do. But without that, you just got a bunch of loose cannons. The men that want to sleep with women, they going to keep doing it till they 70. Right. And they going to do it in large numbers. And I think that's what we're seeing. So it's just going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But you hit it. That was one of my questions right there. I was waiting for that all night.